said only 17% of borrowers go back to the same lender.
What's called the berry button, big red button that I hit.
Hey, remember that?
Right?
And, oh yeah, I love it.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Laugh, Lend, and Eat the podcast. And man, we are obviously growing here as a podcast. We are expanding our horizons. We just did our first LinkedIn Live last week. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And to mark off that special occasion, we actually have the most special video marketing guru in the Ginger Bell herself. How are you, Ginger?
I am fantastic, Bobby. I love the intro.
Thank you so much.
Now I'm hungry for pizza, though. I need to go and get some pizza for lunch.
Are you able to see the frame that John did? Because he's got pizza up here.
He does. Yeah, that's your background. It looks really cool. And I need pizza. I need the basil. And you know what? The key to really good pizza is a little pepperonis like what you have, and it has to be a little crispy.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I need to find that now. Okay, we're done. I gotta go find pizza.
You gotta go. You're in Oregon, right? So I think you got time for lunch if you're in Oregon right now.
Miss the laugh and the lend. We're just gonna go straight to the eat.
That's awesome. So Ginger, welcome to the show. Now that we've got lunch out of the way, right? Now that we've distracted you from anything that you prepared.
I know.
Good way to intro and get everybody distracted. I love that. So just for the record, you are a 3-time best-selling author, right? And I got to make an admission about one of your books. Sue Woodard was on the show, and during the show, there was a miscommunication, and I thought she had written the book called Cracking the Success Code.
Ah.
And so she all of a sudden stops me out of like nowhere. She's like, Mom, I didn't write that book. I think you're talking about my friend Ginger. Really?
But Sue and I have written a book together, though. So
which one?
Yeah. So Christine Beckwith put together a book last year during COVID. All good things happened. Well, not all good things, but we had a lot of projects that happened during COVID. And it was on a book in women and in lending, and it was called Win or Learn. And so we each took a chapter, and we just shared lessons that we had learned that helped to make us who we are. And so, Sue was also an author in that. And we all got best-selling author in that too.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
I think I'm probably about 5 bestsellers by now.
Really?
But it's really working on projects and doing books together. So Cracking the Success Code was one that I wrote with Brian Tracy.
Now, when did you write that book? Because it felt like when I was talking to Sue, I don't know why, I remember this book from either the early 2000s or somewhere around there.
Yeah, so that, I believe, was the first book I wrote with Brian Tracy, and that was in 2012.
Okay. All right.
And interesting story about that book. So my son and I, and he's 27 now, but we started years ago in January. We would each together sit down and write down our goals for that year, things we wanted to accomplish. And we'd hold each other accountable for that. Nice. And so for me, for that year, I said, I want to write a book and I want to be a best-selling author. And it was funny because he looked at me and I think he was probably 17, 18 at the time. And he laughed and he says, yeah, right, Mom. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you've been saying that for a while. And you write a lot. I mean, I write a lot of education for the industry. And he said, so the question is, are you going to really do it this year? And he totally held me accountable to it. Wow. And I said, okay, smarty pants, as a teenager. Yeah. And so I said, what's your goal? And so for him, he's an Eagle Scout, and he's involved with an organization that's part of scouting called the Order of the Arrow. And so he had gone and competed in this competition that they had a few years before, and they didn't place with honors, and they didn't place. And he was upset because it's a team thing. And goes, I want to go and compete. This national event is held every 4 years. And he goes, I want to go and compete. and I want to place in the top 10 in the country, and I want to get honors. So I want to put a team together. And I said, okay, what can I do to help? And he says, I want you to coach us. Now, I knew nothing about this ceremony or anything. And I said, well, I don't know anything about it, but I know how to get people involved.
Yeah.
And so we both had set this goal in 2012. And I helped him get a team together, and we raised the funds and got everything that they needed. And then I found out about this opportunity to write a book, write a book with Brian Tracy. And I said, hey, this could work. And so I wrote my chapter for the book. We, had it published, and it had gone to press. And this is what's so funny. And talk about synergy. So when you have synergy in setting goals, and you put it out there, and you have other people involved in it. So the day we are flying to go to Michigan with this team that my son had put together, that I had coached to compete, we're getting on the plane, and I got an email from my publisher, and it said, hey, we have just hit 3 bestseller lists with the book.
Wow.
So we're getting on the plane. We land in Michigan, and I'm checking my phone as soon as we land for messages. And I had gotten a message from the coach that I had gotten to help coach this team. And they had to submit a video in order to be considered for this competition going to the next level. And so he said, hey, I saw the list. Your team has made the top 10.
Oh,
so
wow.
On exactly the same day, I accomplished my goal of being a best-selling author, and he accomplished his goal of getting a team to the top 10 in the country.
So
And
let's drill down this for 1 second, because you've opened up such a can of worms here for me, right? And I can't let it go, right?
not what you thought we were going to talk about.
I know, no, but it's all good. I love that. That's why, like I'm split about, we talked about this on your show about maybe change the format of Laugh, Learn, and Eat next year to 30 minutes. And I kind of like this 45, 50 minutes because I can do these little things, right? And forget about what I want to ask
And what
you.
you had down. I derailed you.
No, it's all good. Listen, so when you guys both accomplish your goals, is that because you guys both held each other accountable to the goal? Right? Because you had a partnership there with you and your son.
Well, I think the accountability was one part, and I think the planning was the second part. And so, he and I sat down and just said, okay, this is our goal. How are we going to get there? And so we established those steps. And what are those steps in order to accomplish it? What milestones do you have to meet? For him, we had spreadsheets. He had to raise funds. For me, I had to, find someone that I could, write and publish, and was very busy. So I got help with that. So I think it's not just the accountability, but the planning. So someone that can help you to really say, okay, what are the steps I need to take, to be able to reach those milestones to accomplish that goal. And oftentimes that's why people don't accomplish their goals, is they don't have a roadmap.
Right.
Yeah. It's like going on vacation and driving out the driveway and saying, where do you want to go? You want to turn right? You want to turn left? It's like, I don't know. Let's turn right.
Yeah,
when you go on vacation, you have a plan, right? You know where you're going.
I don't know where I heard this, but years ago, and probably early on in my career, somebody said to me, or I heard somebody say, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And it just always stuck inside my head. Like, you got to plan. You may not execute the plan 100%, but at least you're trying to get to Disney World.
Right.
You're starting off in DC, so you got to get on 95 South. And that's the way it starts.
Right.
And then you take it from there. But yeah, that's a great thing. I do believe that with all the coaching that's available to mortgage professionals, I've talked with this other people. Sometimes in the mortgage sales industry, I should say, not all just mortgage people, we fail to recognize that we still need coaching. We still need that someone to kind of hold us accountable, game plan, maybe some new ideas. They kind of seem like, well, I've been doing this for 8 years, Fob. I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Right. I'm sure you see that on the education side, right? Like when you go in and you're trying to get some people on the education front, they're like, yeah, whatever. How do I click the button so I can move forward?
Yeah. Everybody wants the easy button. We all want the easy button. And sometimes it pops up, but normally it pops up because you've planned for it
Mm-hmm.
and you've executed on that plan. And so many things come from planning. And so if you're not a planner, then, that's an area, get some coaching around that. How do you plan? How do you stay organized? We live in a world where we're distracted. It's like I had a day the other day where I had so many projects going on, and I'd start on one, and then, this one I needed to work on. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I hadn't accomplished what I wanted to get accomplished. It's like, stop doing, better than this, Ginger.
Yeah.
Finish what you need to do. Or if it's something big, break it into smaller pieces then and say, this is what I'm going to accomplish today.
I feel like
And
we're on the
be able to
same
work
cycle
to
for
it.
the last week, because that's what I literally had to stop myself. Even this morning, like, hey, I told myself I'm going to knock this thing out right now. I literally had to turn off everything else for like an hour, so I just could focus on it. Otherwise, you don't get anything done.
Right.
People say, why do you wake? I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, right? And for me, that's my time between 4:30 and 7. And nobody's going to bother me. I just know the whole world is sleeping. It's me and my dog and a cup of coffee.
Yep, I'm the same way. If I had to catch you on that, though, I'm on the West Coast. So, but I do the same thing. Yeah. And I know my husband's like, why do you get up so early? I said, because that's when I get my work done.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'll mention his name, Rick Skog at Pacific Union. He was my boss for a while. And I was awake at 4:30. I think it was maybe 5:30. I don't know what time it was. And I responded to one of his emails. And he responded right back. I was like, what are you doing awake at 2 a.m? I thought I could get this email responded and not have to go back and forth with you for a couple
hours. Stop it.
So listen, I want to start off with this video because you're big on video. You have a show talking about videos. You had me on the show talking about videos. I'd like to pick up the conversation on that because, look, video is obviously where it's at. If no one has told somebody that you got to do videos, it's time to wake up and understand that the videos are getting more views on social media platforms across the board. What got you going into videos, Ginger?
I honestly started doing videos back in 2008 with the mortgage meltdown because we couldn't have any live events. And so back then, I was doing a lot of training and education around mortgage regulations, not because I love them, but because that's what brokers and lenders needed education on. And so the easiest way to do that, obviously we had GoToWebinar back then, so we did that. But I found if you would record the webinar, then people could go back and play it later on. And so from there, I was doing continuing education at the time. So we were doing video on that because that was the easiest way to really get so many of the points across. And it's boring stuff. It's like, so boring. So we try to find ways to make it more
you have that opinion also, by the way, Ginger. I mean, I feel refreshed now.
Oh, God, it's horrible. But it's like, how can you make it to where it's more engaging? And then from that, then we started realizing, okay, we need to have a platform to put it into. YouTube was kind of just getting started. People didn't have, they had it, but they weren't really necessarily going to look for things there. So we honestly would post them onto YouTube and then take the URL and put it into what's called a learning management system. So it's an online university. And so that's how I started getting into video. And then from there, started, finding out ways to be able to help companies create these online learning platforms to be able to have access to the information they need. So that's how I got started in video. And, when I first got started, I would, have my videographer tape them and I'd say, okay, I don't want to watch it. Just go edit it. Do what you need. If there's a serious edit that, you need me to do, tell me what you want me to re-record and then just get it done. I hated watching them. It's like, I don't want to see myself on video.
Right.
And eventually you get over that. And you may not get over it. You just say, okay, it is what it is. And
it's almost like you're looking at a third person.
Yeah. And it's so funny because people love you and they see you all the time. You just don't see yourself in that 3D. So, the first thing is get over yourself and just do it anyway. That's how you sound. That's who you are, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, there's definitely some skills to acquire as far as doing videos. So I started getting better at doing videos. I started getting better equipment for doing videos. I do a lot of voiceover, which a lot of people don't realize. In fact, it's funny because they'll watch some of the courses that I've done, and we'll do overlays and things like that, and they don't realize it's me. And so I have a client of mine who always teases me and says, I can listen to you talk all day long. And and so you kind of get that. It's like that voice,
At
that
least
you
for
get
16
used to.
hours, right? A year, 16
Ugh,
hours a year.
yeah. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. In fact, I did. I have a client that said that. And so I jokingly, there's a children's book that's out that Samuel L. Jackson actually read, which is hysterical. And it's called Go the F to Sleep. And so
How did I miss that?
if you haven't seen it, it's hysterical. You can look it up on YouTube. It's funny. So I recorded that and sent it to her for her birthday. And I said, okay, here you go. She had just had a baby. It's like, okay, here you go.
Do you ever do any kind of like quirky videos, or are you? I mean, so we're to kind of make, I guess, continuing education fun, or you just kind of like read the book to them so we can get our 8 hours in.
Yeah, I don't do any regulatory courses anymore, thank God. We're kind of past that point.
Good.
And I have done quirky things. I've worn, scouting outfits. We've gone out in the field, like on a adventure, looking for things. It's like, it's like, I don't mind making fun of myself, and I don't mind doing quirky things, and that's okay. Those are honestly a lot of things that people remember. And promoting things too. Summer camp. So the California Association of Mortgage Professionals,
right.
I think one of the first continuing educations class that I did there live for the SAFE Act, I did a promotion, and I honestly was wearing like a pith hat and had on, like summer camp stuff. And it's like, here we are getting ready to go to summer camp. And it's like, I looked, and I had people sending me, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that, Ginger. You're hysterical. It's like, hey, I got you to watch it. Right. So that's okay. There's certain things you have to be serious about, but
right.
It's okay to have fun with it too.
I think sometimes it's easier to make funnier videos than it is to make serious videos, for me at least. I don't know. Right? Like if I make a serious video, I'm like really concerned, like I'm going to sound goofy or anything. I don't want to, you know what I mean? But when I'm doing a quirky video like we make, you know what I mean? Then I'm just like, whatever, let's get it over with. Push the record button. I know how to do this.
But you have to know, with the message and the information you're putting together, how you want it to be. So finding your voice. It's like right now, we have a project we're working on creating milestone process videos for several clients. And so we wrote the scripts, and I hired a couple of actors and actresses to do it. And I said, we want it to be lighthearted. We don't want it to be, super serious. People are already terrified sometimes going through this entire process. So we want to be reassuring. So I think finding that voice and what that is very important to do that.
How much interaction is a client having when you make a customized video for them? Is it a process that they have to go through where I'm sure it's a lot of questions and surveys and that kind of stuff before you want to start actually producing a video for them, right?
Yeah. And a lot of times, like I have a project I'm working on for a client next week, and I'm going to Atlanta, and we're shooting a series of videos that they're going to use for recruiting. And so, we've had several meetings and map out, who they are, what their message is, what they want to accomplish. And that's always the thing when you go into, especially if it's a bigger project for a video, what's the final outcome that you want at the end of the day? And I write a lot of education and training. And so that's always for me that I look at. It's like, okay, when somebody gets done with this, whether it's a webinar or an online course or a video, what do I want them to walk away with? And I think people miss that sometimes when they're doing videos, to say, what's the end result? What do I want someone to walk away with? Is it knowledge? Is it an understanding of a process? Is it getting to know you? So having an idea of what that looks like. So for this project, we've done that. We've written out all the questions that I'm going to ask them, and we'll do a full 2-day shoot, and we'll shoot this probably not in sequence, and then we'll end up putting together the entire plan for them. But having an idea for a plan on a bigger project is important. But if you're just shooting a video, nothing more than just hey, I'm shooting a 3-minute video, 4-minute video, 20-minute video, whatever you want to do, having a plan is important. So actually, I wrote a mortgage video planner last year because people were wanting to know. It's like, I need help coming up with topics. How do I come up with a topic? Yeah. I said, okay, if I could give you a topic each week and just a template for you to write out what you're going to talk about, would that help? And they're like, yeah. And so I did that. So we have 52 weeks. Every week we give you a prompt. So, 1 week could be, how do I get rid of mortgage insurance? A lot of people search online for that information. So what's your topic?
When loan officers make videos, sometimes I feel like they're pressing the CTA, the call to action, too much. Right? Sometimes I feel like, just let the video kind of be itself.
Yes.
Right? And don't press the topic of what you're actually, let it be kind of underneath the video messaging.
Right.
It doesn't have to be an aggressive call 1-800 for loan. Right?
No, people hate that. People hate that. And I've always led my business with education. And that's really the power of doing video, is to be able to do that and to truly give that information and your knowledge, and to educate. I talk about my son a lot. I've got one son. I always tease him, one and done. Got it right the first time. Didn't have to do it again. But I always taught him, there's 2 ways that you can give in life. You can give to where you're giving palm up, where somebody takes something and you're expecting something in return. And that's that call now, we can help you. We've got the lowest rates, right? Or you can give palm down, where you're truly giving. You're giving that information, not knowing if you're going to get anything back.
Wow.
And that's the true gift of making educational videos, is truly giving of yourself. And it does come around. We have a client who does a lot of videos on VA. And it was a video he did last year that was on the VA IRRRL changes that came out of the CARES Act. And he's gotten so many loans out of this video. I posted it on YouTube, and he called me a couple weeks ago, and he says, oh my gosh, he goes, I just got a call from a woman who works for the Pentagon, who found me on YouTube on the VA IRRRL CARES Act video that I did last year. And she was looking online. She wanted someone. She was moving to California, where he's at. And she had looked at my video and another person's video, and she liked my video. She liked that I gave so much information and educated. And so she called him, and he got the deal. And she's already referred like several other people.
Wow.
Because she saw that he was truly what? Giving.
Yeah.
And he provided that information.
This whole thing of giving, there's this blueprint in life. And I'm going to do a little rabbit hole here.
I'm going to go down another one.
Yeah. I was in a yoga class about a year and a half ago, right? And it was an online yoga class because the pandemic was here. So I was really into this yoga thing. I was doing it I don't know, maybe 7-8 hours a week at that time, I think, because there was nothing else to do, right? So you're stretching my body out. But the instructor said something that was so cool that one time, and it really just put everything in perspective. She said, the whole part of breathing deeply is not inhaling, it's exhaling. The deeper you exhale, the deeper your inhale becomes.
Interesting.
And I'd always thought the reverse, right? And so then the way my head works, Ginger, is I said, oh my God, so there's a master plan. Is you got to give, just give.
Yeah.
Keep exhaling everything. And the more we exhale, the more we get back.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we want it or not, it's just going to come back because we can't help it.
Yeah.
And so
and that's just, I love that. And I never knew that about yoga. I will have to add that. But I think that's so true. When we get something, so many times we're afraid and we get something and we just hang on to it and we don't share it.
Mhm.
And I always believe, to share and to give back, and then you get more. The more you give, the more you get.
Yeah.
And people lose sight of that.
Yeah,
It's
people
not a
don't-
scarcity.
People just don't understand that the most successful people, at least in my life that I've run across, right, are constantly giving.
Hmm.
They're giving of their time, they're giving of their knowledge, they're giving, whatever they can give without anything expecting in return. And it's just the most amazing thing when you begin to actually see it in real. And I mean, I know I'm getting up in my age of life, so probably
We all are.
right. It's like Christy and I were talking last week on this thing, and we were like, when the average age of the mortgage broker is beneath you now,
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we are. Before, it always should be above us, and now it's beneath us. So it's all
I
perspective
know.
there. But let's
Yeah.
go back to you. I want to go into your thing, because one of the things that I saw when we're talking about giving, and I don't know if people realize this, but on edumarketing.com, you do give out some free information to people that they can download, or I think
Yep.
sign up or something. I saw that where you were giving out some idea tips or something. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of bonuses that are available. People can sign up. We do training. We've started our mortgage video mastermind Facebook group to be able to just start talking about doing video and tips for that. And you were gracious enough to be on with us, and just learning about that. So what do people need to do for video? So we do a call once a week. Carl White is on there with me. Scott Sheng is on there. Jason Frazier occasionally shows up.
That whole thing about last week, we were like, blame it on Frazier.
Blame it on Frazier. I think it totally needs to be a show.
Why are
But
people
yeah,
so afraid
it's
to
just
make
giving.
videos, Ginger? Why are people so afraid? Why the fear of making a video?
I think there's a lot of different reasons, and people can grasp onto whatever reason that they want to. They usually say it's like, I don't like how I look on video. I don't know what to say. I don't have the time. I had a client who has so much great information, and he's Spanish speaking. So we were doing Spanish speaking videos for him. And he sends me an email, and he's like, I can't do it, Ginger, right now. I don't have the time. And I called him up and I said, you cannot afford not to do this. And I said, and I'm not going to let you quit, because we need you doing video. We need Spanish speaking video. There's not much out there on YouTube at all. And I said, so I'm going to hold you accountable. And here's what I'll do. I said, you and I are going to meet once a month, and I'm going to record you just like what we're doing right now. And I said, and then we'll edit and we'll produce it and we'll do, all the stuff that I was doing with us. But I said, I'm holding you accountable. And so he says, okay, you're right. You're absolutely right. And so we had a call yesterday. In 30 minutes, he recorded 4 videos.
Wow.
And I just gave him a topic and said, okay, let's talk about this. And boom, he nailed it. You have the information. And sometimes it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, is having someone hold you accountable for it.
Right.
So it's not because you don't like what you look like. You can get over that. You don't have 3 heads. It's like, it's fine. You do know what to say, because if you pick up the phone and somebody asks you a question, you can go into great detail for 30 minutes and tell them everything they need to know. The problem is you hit record and then you freeze up. So you just need to realize, stop freezing up and just start doing it. And then if you need an accountability partner, grab someone and say, okay, we're going to meet 1 hour once a month, and we're going to do a video. Even if it's together, it's the same. I mean, you and I, it's like, we're making a video right now.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's being recorded.
I think what the people miss, right? And I used to miss it also back about 2015, 2014, maybe, was I would script out what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And then I had to memorize the script, right? And all the videos that I've seen, including my own early on, would be like, hi, I'm Fabi Nagmi. I am so-and-so, a Pacific unit, whatever the company I was with, right? And it all starts out like that. And I've learned over the years, it's like, no, just do a Q&A video.
Yeah.
And people don't understand they can edit just the questions and put it all together.
Or you can Gary V it and have a big one and then break it into little pieces too.
Yeah. Micro content. Absolutely.
I mean,
all
it's
day
like
long.
there's tons of things you can do with it. And we actually, so one of the things during COVID, we put together a small beta group who wanted to get into doing video, and I wasn't traveling and speaking. So it's like, why not? Let's do this. I had several people. It's like, I want to do video. Can you help me? And I did a 6-week coaching program and said, okay, here's how you shoot video. Here's how you edit video. Here's how you make a thumbnail. Here's how you post it on YouTube. And at the end of that, everyone's like, yeah, we don't want to do that, Ginger. Will you do it for us? And I'm like, normally I don't do, I do that for my enterprise clients. And I said, okay, let's figure it out. And so we did start writing scripts, and we taught them how to use a teleprompter on their phone. And we started, making the prefabbed videos, which is not my favorite, but for some people, if they can't do it, it's like, at least get something out there. But it's been interesting, with the scripts, and technology makes it easier. I mean, you can honestly just download an app on your phone, you throw the script on, and you just read it. And I just had one of our clients whose son just got started in the industry, just got licensed a month ago.
Okay.
No industry experience, but he took the scripts, and we give 4 scripts a month. So a refi script, a purchase script, a product script, and a process script. And so he took the scripts, put it into his phone, recorded the video. 1 month into the industry, he nailed it. I mean, he sounds so amazing. It's like, got the information, and starts off, and it's like, hey, if you're looking to refinance your home, here's 3 things you need to know to determine if now is the time. And then, we go into that. And so, we write, and this is how I always write my training, is like for the audience in mind. It's like, what do you want to know? It's like, if you're going to refinance, Bobby, what are the 3 things you need to know about refinancing? First of all, does it make sense? I mean, does this make sense for you to even do this? So that's the first thing you need to do. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Does it make sense? Yeah. And people get out there. It's like, oh, our rates are low. It's like,
I don't know if you're realizing it, but your script, what you just said, is you're giving away 3 little pieces of information for people to refinance. So we go back to giving back freely without anything in return.
It always goes back to that, right? But it's so cool because like, here's this, young man, new to the industry, and he's able to start doing videos and sound like an expert. He doesn't even know what to say.
So what happens with this young man? So this is the other part of me that's been coming up more and more, right? I blame Brian View for this, by the way. If you know Brian View, I think he triggered this in me a few months ago. And it's like taking that red pill from Morpheus, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
Same again, right?
Was it red or was it blue?
but it's like, what happens in 10, 15 years from today? I mean, here's a young man who got in the business, right? He's doing videos today. I mean, what's the next thing? Is it holograms? Is it? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, where do we go? Like, right?
I mean, who knows what it'll be? I mean, there's the VR, everything, which I love. I mean, I love new technology. We actually have an Oculus, which I got my son for Christmas, and he was so delighted. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Mom!" I was like, "I think this is the next phase. I think there will be houses that will have rooms that are based on that. I think our education will be based on that." Right. The thing of it is, it doesn't really matter, because right now, all you need to pay attention to is where we are right now.
Okay. Fair. No, because I keep thinking about this, like, where do we go? I mean, with the Oculus, with the virtual reality, people not really wanting to leave their homes anymore. Their homes kind of becoming more of a, especially during this pandemic, we all kind of realized that, oh my God, I need more inside my home than just a bed and a TV and a sofa, right? Mm-hmm. And to your point, I mean, having rooms where they can have a virtual experience with a banker, a virtual experience with the education person, so on and so on.
Yeah.
It just makes a lot more logical sense today than it did even a year ago.
Oh, it does.
So
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? I mean, this is a pandemic we're in right now, and we've got Delta, and then who knows what's next? Echo, or whatever the next
I don't know about you. I just stopped
flavor
watching the
is.
news, man. I can't.
Yeah, I've
I had
stopped
to
too.
tune out. It was too much for my brain to handle. Seriously.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be one of those guys that just, but it was just like I gotta focus on my world.
Well, and yeah, you can let that overtake you.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of that too. And so think about that. So during the pandemic, um, when it first happened, I'm like, oh shit, this is like 2008 all over again. We've all been through this before, and it's before rates started, going where they were, and we all went crazy. But I said, we have to control what's out there and the thoughts and what's being put out. And the same thing as far as the news. And people were so ingrained in this. And so I actually started a series is called Flatten the Curve, Not the Spirit.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
so, I just posted it out on social and said, hey, I'm going to start the series. Whoever wants to hop on, we'll record a video. And so we did that. And I think we had 3 videos a week that I put out there. I don't know how many we ended up doing, but it's just talking about keeping things positive, things you need to focus on. Bill Hart came on and talked about, staying active and working out. And, Eddie Perez came on and talked about what he was doing as far as within his organization and controlling your thoughts. And so it's like, the only thing we can control in life is what happens up here. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so whatever you have to do, and I'm with you, it's like, I don't watch the news. I'll look for certain things in the news and then limit it, things you do have to be aware of, but yeah, just, you cannot let it. And the other thing is, if you have a team, watch your team. And that's another thing video can do, is have that connection, because so many people are working remote right now.
Right.
So think about what you need to give them to help them stay positive. And a lot of that can be done in videos, or starting a little, if you have a team, start a little, once a month that you do this with your executives. And, you just do, here's what's happening, or things to focus on. It just gives that connection. And that's what video does. The pandemic forced us to start having relationships virtually.
Yeah. I mean, I opened up new branches without ever meeting the branch manager.
Yeah.
All through Zoom.
People are buying houses without ever even going to see the house.
And that was something we thought was totally impossible. Like, it was always like, got to have boots on the ground. If you're going to open a branch in Charlotte, you got to be in Charlotte or whatever. And also, no, with this, we found new ways of interacting, and video was a huge component of that. But, back to your thought thing, when we were talking about thoughts, and once again, you got me on some kind of wave today, Ginger. So I normally don't go down this way.
It's a blue pill.
But really, I mean, what I was thinking about is for me, the best way I ever described, this guy described the brain to me, right? It's like, Bob, it's like an ocean, right? And there's all this noise on top of the ocean. You got people surfing, and you got waves crashing and seagulls. But if you go deep in that same water, also it becomes nice and quiet. Because that's the brain. It's all the surface noise. If you can just kind of tune that down, also the same brain will give you peace and serenity.
Yeah.
And I never looked at it that way before. And the pandemic really, really caused me to kind of like dive deep into that thought and realize that no, whatever goes on around here is fine. It's going to continue no matter what it is.
Yeah.
But
the brain is very powerful.
Huge.
The things that we can control within our brain are amazing. When I was doing training for Sue Woodard back in the day, I think this is like 2008, 2009, when we had the SAFE Act and everyone had to take that test and pass the test. And so I actually had a conversation with Rene Rodriguez, which that's what he talks about, is neurolinguistics. And so he shared with me, he says, Ginger, what happens with the brain is when you get into that fight or flight mode, the brain actually shuts down. So it cannot access everything else that is happening in your frontal cortex, and it totally focuses on keeping you alive. So the only thing the brain has access to in fight and flight is your heart, your breathing, your muscles. It has nothing as far as recall, creativity, memory.
Mhm.
And so when people talk about, taking a test and it's like, forgetting everything, that's because they have this fear that has shut down to where the brain can't access that information.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so you have to calm yourself down. I love the ocean and that analogy, because that's exactly what you have to do, is to calm yourself down.
Well,
And the
funny thing was-
pandemic has put people into that fight or flight fear.
The funny thing was, it's the same brain, it's the same ocean, right?
Yeah.
In other words, the noise is up here, no big deal. Just got to go down into it, and it's the same water, it's the same body of water.
Right.
And that's, I think, when the guy said that it's the same body of water, it was so profound. It moved me, like, oh my God, yeah, I don't have to go searching for it. It's already here.
Yeah.
I just have to uncover it.
Yeah.
And so I think those are the kind of things that are especially during the pandemic, but I think moving forward, the lessons that I'm going to learn, right? Because I'm taking those with me. But we're coming to the end, Ginger, and I don't want to not talk about folds of honor, because I know we briefly talked about it before when we were talking, but I know that this was a big thing. This is something I'd actually heard about before I actually met you or even talked with you. So I want to talk about folds of honor, what led to it, and kind of like walk us through that, if you will, please.
Yeah. So Folds of Honor is an organization that was started by Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. And he started the organization because he was on a commercial flight at one time and had noticed someone on the flight who was, dressed in their officer's uniform. And he thought, he was sitting in first class, and he's like, oh, it must be, someone special. Maybe they won an award or something. And didn't think anything of it. The plane landed, and the airline pilot came on and said, we have, a very special passenger on board. And he's like, oh, it must be this person. And they said, we're carrying the remains of Lieutenant Colonel Brock Buckman. And he had died in the line of duty. And his twin brother was the officer that was sitting up in first class. And so the pilot asked that everyone remain seated on the plane until they had removed the coffin off of the plane. And so he watched it happening and saw his, this person's young son standing there and his brother, and watched all of this. And then he talks about at the end of it, he looked up and half of the plane had already gotten off. And he was so moved by that, because he's like, this is, somebody giving their ultimate sacrifice, their life to protect our country. And so from that, he started Folds of Honor, and Folds of Honor provides scholarships to the families of wounded and fallen soldiers. Some of the things our government does a good job giving, but one of the things they don't give is that continual education. So again, it's that giving and it's that education. So anyway, so I heard Lieutenant Colonel Dan's story at an event I was also speaking at, and was moved. When an opportunity came up to co-produce a documentary on Folds of Honor, I jumped on board. So we co-produced a documentary. We were nominated for 3 Emmys. We won 2, and then we won a Telly, which raised awareness for Folds of Honor. And then I said, you know what, we're in an industry, in the mortgage industry, that, we provide loans to veterans all the time, and we can definitely give back. And so I started a foundation that's called No to Go, because from what had happened in 2019, Folds of Honor gave 3,000. They awarded 3,000 scholarships to the families of these fallen soldiers. But they also said no to 3,000 people who had applied for scholarships, and they didn't have enough money. And I said, I want to change that. So we started the foundation No to Go. And it's focused for the real estate and mortgage industry. We actually just came off of a board meeting before our call today. And so that's our goal, is to help to increase awareness and provide scholarships to these families. So so that's what that is about.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I think that's the kind of stuff in life that, for me at least, when I hear that, I mean, I do my own stuff that I don't really talk about, but I just feel like life is more complete.
Yep.
Right? It's not a one-way sign, a one-way road at that point.
Yep.
It's like we're
Absolutely.
finally living life the way we always want. At least for me, like the way I wanted to live it. When I used to dream like how I wanted to live my life.
Yeah.
I mean, that story was amazingly on the plane. So I mean, I was just very good. When you were doing the documentary, I mean, were you involved with? I mean, you were co-producing, and how deep was your involvement?
So, I mean, for that documentary, we were involved as far as co-producers. So we went to the filming. We didn't do the editing. We didn't do the directing. But ours was more of the the support and the financial, and then obviously getting it out. And so it's available on Amazon. It's also available on YouTube now, which is great. And you can find out information about it at our site that we started, which is no2go, N-O, the number 2go.org. Or you can find out about Folds of Honor at foldsofonor.org. Great organization.
Yeah, no, it sounds like an awesome organization, quite honestly. I mean, I think any assistance we can provide to people who've given their all is just, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Once again, I think there's not enough we can do for people like that. So
Yep.
that's what I feel about that. We are coming to the end, Ginger, and I want to thank you so much for coming out here. I know you are now ready for some more pizza.
I am. I got to find pizza today.
I just realized it's like 11:46 where you are. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you got 14
Lunchtime.
minutes more lunchtime. Do they have good pizza? You're in Oregon, right?
Yeah, we've got a couple good pizza places.
It's okay. It's like not like the East Coast pizza.
Yeah, it's not like the East Coast pizza.
Why is that? What's the difference?
I don't know. That's a darn good question. It's just, I don't know. It's like going to New York, you know, there's nothing like, you know, walking on the streets of New York and finding which pizza place you'd like that. I think it's the whole experience.
Yeah. Well, listen, I would love to get you back on the show at some other time and
Anytime.
talk more. Thank you for what you have given us so far. This was an amazing conversation for me. I hope it was good for you.
It was.
With that, we're going to sign out. And John, I know you're listening, so please do what you got to do to get us out of here.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of Laugh, Lend, and Eat, the podcast. You can now enjoy Fabi's article, Laugh, Lend, and Eat, featured in the Vision magazine. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where each month we are giving away some swag for our lucky listener to show off. Thank you to our sponsors for their continued support, First Option Mortgage and One Good One Recruiting. And remember, you have to be something, so be kind.